GMNA uses artificial intelligence for generated speech, visuals, and production. AI-generated content may contain errors. Please verify important information before making decisions or taking action.
Here are our top stories.
A man received a 1-year prison term after impersonating a Montreal police officer, complete with badge, pistol, and fake patrol car, following citizen reports and a court conviction. Elise Marchand has the full story.
At a downtown courthouse this afternoon, a man who pretended to be a Montreal police officer received a 12-month prison sentence. He had been seen cruising the streets in a replica patrol vehicle, complete with a police-style belt, a replica pistol, and a badge that mimicked official SBVM insignia. Neighbors who grew suspicious stopped him, and after a brief confrontation, the officers on scene identified the ruse and took him into custody. A Quebec court confirmed that impersonating a police officer is a criminal offense, and the judge imposed the 1-year term. The sentencing follows complaints from citizens who confronted the imposter and alerted authorities. Elise Marchand, GMNA News, Montreal.
The Quebec Coroner's Office, led by Chief Medical Examiner Gahain Kamel, has formally urged the Montreal Police Service to overhaul its use of force guidelines after a recent investigation linked a hogtie restraint to a fatality last year. The probe focused on the death of a 29-year-old man who died in 2025 while being restrained in a hogtie position. Kamel's report, released on August 12, 2026, concludes that the technique likely contributed to the loss of life and recommends a comprehensive review, revised training, and stricter oversight of all restraint methods. Police officials have been asked to submit a revised policy within a set time frame and to report on implementation steps. The coroner's call arrives as the city grapples with heightened scrutiny of policing practices, underscoring the urgency of reform before further incidents occur. Community leaders and civil rights groups have welcomed the recommendation, urging swift action to protect vulnerable individuals.
The latest Montreal Economic Institute study shows Quebec emergency departments trimmed average wait times by 11 minutes compared with the previous year. The analysis, based on data collected throughout 2025, indicates a measurable improvement across the province's hospitals. Health officials regularly track emergency room wait durations as a core performance metric for the health system. The Institute's report did not break down the reduction by individual facilities, but the province-wide figure suggests a modest acceleration in patient flow. Researchers attribute the shift to a combination of staffing adjustments and process refinements, though the study stops short of assigning causality. The findings arrive as policymakers continue to evaluate strategies for sustaining shorter waits and maintaining quality of care. Provincial health agencies track these metrics quarterly. The 11-minute drop equals about 4% improvement, the Institute said. No formal response has been issued yet.
Advance voting starts this Friday for 3 federal by-elections, 2 in the Toronto area and 1 in Montreal. The contests will determine whether Prime Minister Mark Carney secures a majority government. Elise Marchand has the full story.
Advance voting kicks off today for 3 federal by-elections, with polling stations open across city and in 2 ridings in the Toronto area. Voters can cast their ballots early through the weekend, a step that follows the April 13th contests that handed Prime Minister Mark Carney a majority government. The Montreal riding, along with the 2 Toronto area districts, will see the final vote on the scheduled election day later this month. Election officials say the early voting period is designed to ease crowding at polls and give residents more flexibility. Turnout in the earlier contests was strong, and officials expect similar enthusiasm this round. Polling locations are posted online and displayed at community centers throughout affected districts, making it easy for residents to find a site. Elise Marchand, GMNA News, Montreal.
Earlier today, a memorial service gathered friends, family, and fellow musicians at Union United Church in Little Burgundy to honor the late Oliver Jones, one of Canada's most revered jazz pianists. The service, held in the modest brick sanctuary where Jones performed his first concert at the age of 5, featured a series of performances that traced his career from early gospel roots to his celebrated recordings with the Montreal Jazz Festival. Speakers highlighted his contributions to the national music scene, noting his role in mentoring younger artists and his numerous awards, including multiple Juno honors. Attendees also recalled his improvisational brilliance and the way his piano phrasing became a defining element of Canadian jazz. The ceremony concluded with a final rendition of the Montreal Suite, a piece long associated with Jones's legacy.
Later, we'll examine the loss of 2 Montreal women in intimate partner violence cases and a dad's 14-hour email grind. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news. Welcome back. 2 women were found dead in separate neighborhoods earlier today, both cases now being treated as suspected intimate partner violence. Police say the victims, whose identities have not been released, were killed within days of each other, underscoring a recent uptick in fatal domestic incidents across the city. In one investigation, the alleged perpetrator was discovered dead at the scene, eliminating the prospect of prosecution. In the second case, authorities have identified a male suspect who is slated to appear before a Montreal court later this week. Detectives are continuing to piece together the circumstances surrounding both homicides and have not ruled out any additional connections. The incidents arrive at a time when city officials are warning of a broader rise in intimate partner fatalities, prompting calls for heightened prevention measures.
Montreal father Miguel Tremblay counted 456 emails from his Villeray Elementary School, totaling 166,000 words, roughly 14 hours of reading, comparable to a Harry Potter novel. Elise Marchand has the full story.
After combing through his children's elementary school inbox, Miguel Tremblay tallied 456 messages, totaling roughly 166,000 words. At an average reading pace, he estimates it would take about 14 hours to get through every note, a stretch comparable to the length of a Harry Potter novel. Tremblay, a father of 2 in Villeray, began the count after noticing a steady flood of reminders, homework assignments, and event flyers arriving each week. He says the sheer volume makes it impossible for parents to stay fully informed without carving out significant time. The tally reflects just one school's communication flow in Montreal during 2025. He hopes schools will consider more concise updates moving forward. Elise Marchand, GMNA News, Villeray.
Construction on a new downtown shelter kicked off today under the direction of the PAQ. The $23 million project will create a permanent, accessible facility designed to be culturally safe for residents. Work is expected to continue through the next 2 years, with the building slated to open in 2028. The shelter will sit in the heart of the island's central business district, close to transit hubs such as the Metro's green and orange lines, ensuring easy access. Officials say the design incorporates universal design standards and multilingual services to meet the diverse needs of the neighborhood. The PAQ expects the initiative to fill a long-standing gap in safe housing options for vulnerable populations. Construction crews are on site now, laying foundations and beginning structural work. The site occupies a former office block on St. Laurent Boulevard, adjacent to the BIXI station and a major bus corridor.
The city of Delson is set to roll out its first metropolitan bus line next Monday, a new Taschereau corridor that will whisk commuters straight to the yellow metro line. The route runs along Taschereau Boulevard, bridging the suburban center with the rapid transit network in the island's west. Officials say the service will cut travel time for residents heading to downtown and beyond, offering a seamless connection to the metro at the nearest yellow line station. The launch marks the inaugural use of the metropolitan label for a bus route, a step that could reshape regional mobility. Riders can expect modern low-floor vehicles, real-time arrival displays, and integrated fare options with the STM system. The city hopes the new line will encourage more people to choose public transit over driving daily.
An approximately 200-year-old mill in Huntingdon, Quebec, about 75 kilometers southwest of Montreal, has changed hands, yet its future purpose remains undisclosed. Camille Dowsett has the full story.
The iconic mill that has stood for almost 2 centuries just changed hands. The historic structure, perched on the banks of the Richelieu River in Huntingdon, was listed for sale earlier this year and has now been bought by an unnamed buyer. While the transaction closes, officials have offered no word on what the new owner plans for the building, leaving the community wondering whether it will remain a heritage site or be repurposed. The stone-clad mill, a familiar landmark for residents and travelers alike, sits roughly 75 kilometers southwest of Montreal and has long been a symbol of the town's early industrial roots. No details on future use have been released. Camille Dowsett, GMNA News, Huntingdon.
Now let's turn to the forecast and see what tonight's weather has in store.
A deep high-pressure ridge, steered by a swift southwest jet, is locking in cool, clear night. On this date, the city once sweltered to 32.1 degrees Celsius in 2021, a record set during a lingering heat wave that pushed the summer into unprecedented warmth. Conversely, the coldest temperature recorded here fell to 10.7 degrees Celsius in 2020, a sharp dip tied to an early autumn cold snap that rattled the region. By comparison, today's climatological normals sit around 24 degrees for the high and 13 for the low, underscoring how today sits comfortably between those extremes. The live radar screen is a blank canvas tonight, no echo returning from the St. Lawrence Basin or the surrounding hills. That emptiness reflects the entrenched high pressure aloft, which suppresses lift and keeps moisture locked out. With the swift southwest jet streaming at roughly 172 kilometers per hour, any stray disturbance would be sheared apart before reaching the city. Expect clear skies to persist through the night. At 11 p.m., the city sits at 16 degrees Celsius under partly cloudy skies, humidity hovering near 70%, and a gentle west wind at 14 kilometers per hour. A high-pressure ridge is building, slowly rising and sealing the atmosphere, while the powerful southwest jet at 172 kilometers per hour streams overhead, steering any upper-level disturbances far to the east. With the pressure trend solidly upward, the night will remain dry and calm, allowing temperatures to dip to 13 before sunrise. Daylight will be marked by a modest high of 24, clear to partly cloudy, and a UV index of 5. No wind gusts exceed 25 kilometers per hour, and there are no active weather alerts. Looking ahead, Friday will stay dry under a clear sky, with a high of 23 and a low of 12. Saturday remains mainly clear, warming to 26 during the day while night falls back to 12. Sunday introduces the first pulse of moisture. A light rain band brings a 60% chance of rain and temperatures ranging from 26 to 17. Monday eases back to partly cloudy conditions, high 21, low 16, and a modest 25% rain probability. Tuesday closes the stretch with overcast skies, high 20, low 16, and another 25% chance of showers. The pattern stays anchored by the same high-pressure core, so temperature swings are modest and precipitation confined to the mid-week window. And that's your weather. Remember, the wrap is also available as a podcast. Listen anytime on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts.
Coming up, traffic updates, a look at what's on today, plus the buzz around the Habs as Bergeron praises Suzuki. We will be right back.
Every day, important stories happen across the city before any news crew arrives. Sometimes the very first person at the story is you. When you witness something newsworthy, open the GMNA Citizen Reporter app and start your report. The app guides you through every step while your report is delivered directly to the GMNA newsroom. Every submission is reviewed by our editorial team, and approved reports may be featured on GMNA. Get the GMNA Citizen Reporter app today at my.gmna.ca. Your city, your news.
And now here's Jason with sports.
Big Habs week, franchise praise, a prospect secured, and a legend honored. Patrice Bergeron doesn't hand out compliments lightly, and he's calling Nick Suzuki a true franchise player, every attribute he says. Meanwhile, Jacob Dobish is being tagged as potentially the NHL's best bargain heading into the season. Two pillars of this Canadiens core generating serious buzz before camp even opens. The Canadiens have locked up KHL forward Bogdan Konyushkov on an entry-level contract, then immediately loaned him back to Torpedo Nizhny Novgorod for the full KHL season. The front office is playing the long game here. Konyushkov can join Montreal come April or May if there's a playoff push on the line. Mark November 10th on your calendar. Carey Price gets inducted into the Bell Center's Ring of Honor against the Minnesota Wild, one night after he goes into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Back-to-back ceremonies for the greatest goaltender in franchise history. Bell Center is going to be electric that week. Plenty more Canadiens news to track as training camp draws closer.
Thanks, Jason.
Welcome back. Montreal is committing 44 million Canadian dollars to a 10-year lease at Place Dupuis, providing office space for roughly 700 municipal employees as the city enforces a 3-day-a-week return-to-work policy. Elise Marchand has the full story.
At Place Dupuis on Rue St. Catherine East, crews are busy installing new workstations as the city finalizes a lease for roughly 44 million Canadian dollars. The agreement covers enough space for around 700 municipal employees and runs for a 10-year term. Officials say the move follows a recent directive requiring staff to be in the office 3 days each week, prompting the need for additional desks and meeting rooms. City representatives walked the floor today, pointing to modular offices and shared conference areas designed to support a hybrid schedule. The lease will lock in the location through 2036, ensuring a stable base for the workforce as they transition back to regular on-site work. Elise Marchand, GMNA News, St. Catherine.
Quebec prosecutor announced today the decision to stay criminal charges against 11 Longueuil teenagers tied to the September 2025 police shooting of a 15-year-old boy. Anton Prévost has the full story.
On August 20, the provincial prosecutor announced that criminal charges against 11 teenagers in Longueuil will be stayed. The youths had been linked to a series of alleged incidents that culminated in a police shooting of a 15-year-old boy last September. Longueuil police had initially charged the group, but the Crown decided there was insufficient evidence to proceed. Prosecutors said the decision reflects a review of the case file and the circumstances surrounding the shooting. The Crown attorney for the Montérégie region confirmed the stay, noting the file did not meet the threshold for prosecution. The 11 youths remain free. No further legal action is expected at this time, and families of the teens have been informed of the outcome. Anton Prévost, GMNA News, Longueuil.
Thank you, Montreal, for watching the wrap. Tonight's look at the man sentenced for impersonating a police officer reminded us how vital trust is in our streets. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories that matter to you. Stay safe, stay curious, and see you then.